The internet was supposed to kill cable television. No schedules, no channel bundles, no sitting through commercials for things you would never buy. We were promised control. Pick what you want, watch it when you want, pay only for what you use. 20 years later, we somehow rebuilt cable television with more passwords, more bills, and fewer reruns of the A-Team. The technology changed. The system came back. Cable started with a simple promise: more choice. In the early 1980s, most families had a handful of broadcast stations. Then the cable box arrived. Suddenly, there were movie channels, music channels, sports channels, and strange stations showing wrestling at 2 in the morning. It felt endless. Compared with 3 networks and PBS, it practically was. More channels meant more freedom. At least, that was the sales pitch. Then, the channels became packages. You wanted one movie channel, but it lived inside the premium entertainment tier. You wanted one sports network, but that required the expanded package. By the 1990s, cable was less like choosing television and more like negotiating a hostage release. Hundreds of channels appeared on the guide. Most people regularly watched about 12. The abundance was real. So was the waste. The bundle worked because leaving was inconvenient. The cable company controlled the wire, the equipment, and the local service. Canceling meant calling a phone number designed to test the outer limits of human patience. Switching often meant waiting at home during a 4-hour installation window. Once the box was attached to the television, inertia did the rest. The system did not need customers to love it. It only needed them to stay. Streaming arrived as the rebellion: one monthly payment, no commercials, entire seasons available instantly. Netflix mailed DVDs before it streamed them, and even that felt revolutionary because nobody charged a late fee for forgetting a disc under the passenger seat. When streaming moved online, cable suddenly looked ancient. The box disappeared. The schedule disappeared. The bundle disappeared. For a few years, television actually became simpler. But simplicity is rarely permanent when companies discover recurring revenue. Every studio wanted its own service. Every network wanted direct access to viewers. Every technology company wanted a subscription attached to your credit card. Shows that once lived together were separated into competing libraries. The single streaming bill became 3 bills, then 5, then 7. Nobody announced that the bundle was returning. It reassembled itself one app at a time. Now finding the show requires detective work. Which service owns it? Is it included, rented, or locked behind a premium add-on? Did it move since last month? Gen X once flipped through 70 channels and complained that nothing was on. Now we search 7 apps and discover the thing we wanted vanished on Tuesday. The interface improved. The confusion survived. We traded channel surfing for menu surfing. The advertisements came back too. Streaming originally sold itself as the escape from commercial television. Then lower-priced ad tiers appeared. Then some services placed ads into plans that had previously been ad-free. Paying more removed some of them. Paying less brought them back. That sounds familiar because cable followed the same path. Customers paid for access and still watched commercials. The old system returned wearing a loading screen. Even the bundles are returning. Phone companies, internet providers, and streaming platforms now package multiple services together at a discount. That is not necessarily bad. Bundling can save money and reduce the number of separate payments. But notice the cycle. First, the bundle becomes too expensive. Then everything breaks apart. The separate pieces become confusing and expensive. Finally, someone sells the pieces back together as convenience. This happens because fragmentation creates opportunity, but it also creates exhaustion. Companies make more money when they control their own customers. Viewers gain more choice when services compete. Eventually, though, managing all that choice becomes work. Passwords, renewals, price increases, exclusive content, forgotten subscriptions quietly charging every month. Once the inconvenience becomes painful enough, aggregation becomes valuable again. The cure becomes the next version of the disease. Gen X recognizes the rhythm because we watched it happen with music too. Radio gave way to cassette collections. Cassettes gave way to CDs. Napster broke the album apart into individual files. Digital stores sold songs one at a time. Then streaming rebuilt the music library as a monthly subscription. Ownership became access. Convenience improved. Control shifted. Different industry. Same movement from bundle to breakup to bundle again. The real product is predictable monthly behavior. Companies prefer automatic payments because people forget them. A cable bill arrived every month, whether you watched one channel or 50. Streaming works the same way. The service does not need to be your favorite every day. It needs to remain useful enough that canceling feels slightly harder than ignoring the charge. That tiny hesitation is worth billions when millions of customers share it. That does not mean streaming is identical to cable. Viewers still have more flexibility. Services can usually be canceled without returning equipment or waiting for a technician. Entire libraries are available on demand. The point is not that nothing changed. Plenty changed. The point is that successful business patterns survive technological revolutions. They lose their old shape, adapt to the new interface, and quietly rebuild themselves. Once you see the cycle, the next phase becomes easier to recognize. More consolidation, more bundled discounts, more advertising inside paid services, fewer truly independent platforms, maybe one universal guide that searches everything, manages subscriptions, and recommends what to watch. It will feel new. It will feel convenient. It may even be useful, and somewhere a Gen Zer will look at it and say, "So we invented cable again." If this feels familiar, it is because the details are new, but the incentives are not. There is more of this waiting here, because the same cycles keep resurfacing across media, technology, and culture. We keep mistaking a redesigned interface for a redesigned system. Cable did not disappear. It broke into pieces, learned our passwords, and returned through the internet. Streaming was supposed to replace cable. Instead, it copied the same pattern. More services, more bills, more ads, and eventually more bundles. The technology changed. The system didn't. If you recognize the cycle, like the video, and subscribe, Gen X has seen this before and will keep showing you where it happens next.